Welcome back to this course. So this is our next section in which we are going to discuss about Node.js. Okay. So in this video, we will discuss that what is Node.js and why we need it and where it is used. Okay. So first of all, let's see what is Node.js. According to definition, Node.js is a platform built on Google Chrome's JavaScript engine, which is V8 engine, for easily building fast and scalable network applications. Okay. Node.js uses an event-driven non-blocking I/O model that make it lightweight and efficient, perfect for real-time applications. So first of all, moving toward the definition, now we know that before Node.js we are running our JavaScript in the browser, or you can say that on the client side. Okay, so after the development of Node.js we are able to run JavaScript on the backend of a website. Okay, so definitely we need some platform, we need something that would run that JavaScript on the backend. So here Google Chrome's V8 engine comes in. V8 engine provides an environment to JavaScript to run it on the backend. And in the second paragraph you can see that Node.js uses an event-driven non-blocking I/O model. Now don't get confused with this. We are going to discuss about this non-blocking I/O model and event-driven in our next section when we will discuss about Node.js in detail, or Node.js behind the scenes. Okay, by the way, I will give you an overview that non-blocking I/O model means that whenever our application is running and there is a process that is running and takes about 5 minutes, so Node.js does not stop there and wait for that processing. It moves that process to the background and continue his next work. Okay, so when that process is completed, a callback function is called and tell us that your processing is completed. So this is non-blocking I/O model. Again, don't get confused with that right now. We are going to discuss about it in detail in our next sections. Okay, and Node.js is lightweight and very efficient and perfect for real-time applications because Node.js uses the single-threaded architecture. Our complete application runs in a single thread. You can understand it like whenever we run our application in PHP. Okay, so for each process a separate thread is created for that process. Okay, but in Node.js everything runs in a single thread, and we are also going to discuss about these threads and the behind the scenes of Node.js in our next section. Okay, so this is what we call the Node.js. In simple words, Node.js help us to run JavaScript on the backend side, okay, or on the server side. Next, we have some features of Node.js. First of all, asynchronous and event-driven. Now we are also going to discuss about this asynchronous and event-driven in our next section when we will discuss about behind the scenes of Node.js. So don't get confused with it right now. Okay. And next is very fast, being built on Chrome's V8 JS engine. Node.js is really fast because it is built on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine. Next, it is a single-threaded application. As I have discussed in the previous slide that Node.js is a single-threaded, all the process runs in a single thread. Next, it is highly scalable because it is really fast and it is highly scalable. We use the Node.js to build our web servers that we're going to do in this course. Okay. Next, perfect for building real-time applications. Node.js is the best environment that help us to create real-time applications like a chatting application in which two persons chat with each other at real time. So Node.js is really helpful in that type of application because Node.js runs in a single thread. Okay. So next, it is also helpful in manipulating files on a file system because we have some core modules of file system in Node.js. Okay. So these are some features of Node.js. And again, don't get confused with any of these features. We are going to discuss about them in detail in our next section. This is just a quick overview of Node.js features. Okay. Next, why we need to learn Node.js. The first reason is that big companies are using Node.js. Some of them are LinkedIn, Netflix, Walmart, Uber, PayPal, eBay, and even Yahoo. So many companies are shifting to Node.js technology. The reason is that it is highly fast and scalable technology that makes their applications or websites more quick and fast. Okay. And the second reason, you can say that the large community which is growing day by day because Node.js is really becoming popular day by day. The average salary of Node.js developer is really high than other technologies. And the other reason is that some developers that are new to development, web development, they are using JavaScript on the front side and they have to learn a different languages like Java or Ruby or Python to do backend of a website. Now they can do front end and back end both in JavaScript. So they don't need to learn another language to do backend of a website. So this is really helpful for those type of users. Okay. So these are the major reasons that why we need to learn Node.js. Okay. And next, where to use Node.js. Okay. First of all, IO bound applications, input output bound applications. Next, data streaming applications like Netflix. Third, real-time applications like chatting applications. I have given the example before. Next is JSON APIs based application. Now Node.js is one of the best technology to build APIs. Okay, as I have discussed in our first slide when we are discussing about the dynamic websites, I have told you there that Node.js is the best technology to build APIs. Okay, JSON based APIs means we get our data in form of JSON, and it is a really helpful technology to build APIs. Okay, and next is single page applications like portfolio or company website. So in these cases, Node.js is really helpful technology to use. Okay, and next is where not to use the Node.js. Okay, so it is not advisable to use Node.js for CPU intensive applications. The reason is that Node.js is a single threaded application. Okay, so CPU intensive application means that the applications that use a lot of CPU and a lot of processing, so this take a lot of time. So that's why it is not advisable to use Node.js for these type of applications. Okay, so in this case we don't use the Node.js technology. I hope that you understand. So this is very quick and very fast overview of Node.js, and we are going to discuss about in detail and behind the scenes of the Node.js in our next section. Okay, so I hope that you understand. So that's it for this video. If you feel any problem in understanding anything about Node.js, you can definitely ask me a question or message me. I am always here to help you. I will see you in the next video. Welcome back. So in our previous video, we have discussed what is Node.js and why we need to learn Node.js. So in this video, we are going to set up our Node.js and set up our environment so that we can run our further applications. Okay. So first of all, this is the official website of Node.js. You can see that nodejs.org. And from here we have to download the setup of Node.js. Okay, so you can download the setup of Node.js according to your system. I am using the Windows, so you can simply click on this button and download this Node.js application. Okay, setup. So once you download it, simply install that, and once you install it, the first thing you need to do is to set up the environment variables. So for that, simply go to the search and type here environment, and you can see that edit system environment variables. Click on that, and from here simply click on environment variables, and then click from here to the path, then simply click on edit. Okay, so here you have to click on new and add the path of your Node.js. You can see that I have already added Node.js path here, C, program files, and Node.js. So if I go to my C drive from here, and in here if I click on this program files, then here I click on Node.js, and you can see that our nodejs.exe file is present here. So I simply just copy this path and add it to the environment variable, and simply click on OK, OK, and OK. So in this way we have set up our Node.js environment variable. Okay, and after that you have to use a text editor. For this course, I'm going to use the Visual Studio Code, which is one of the best text editor right now in the market. Okay, so simply download it for your operating system. I am using Windows, so I simply download it and install it on my laptop. I have already downloaded it and installed it on my laptop. It is very simple and easy to install. After installing the Visual Studio Code, you have to also download the Git bash. Okay, because when we deploy our Node.js application on the internet, we need Git. So that's why it is recommended that you install the Git bash at the start of this course. Okay, if you don't want to install Git bash at this point, definitely you can use the default terminal of Windows that is already embedded inside the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so after downloading and installing the Git bash, Node.js, and Visual Studio Code, simply open Visual Studio Code, and the very first thing you need to do here is to set your terminal. Okay, simply go to File, and then Preferences, and then Settings, and simply type here terminal, and click on this terminal from here like this, and you can see that terminal external window exe. So simply give this path, that is C, program files, Git, bin and bash.exe. Okay, so in this way you will set your terminal to from default to git bash. Simply close it and go to terminal, new terminal, and boom, your git bash terminal is now ready to use. Okay, and now to check whether your node is working or not, simply type here one thing, that is node and -v. Okay, so you can see that version 10.16.3 is the version of the node that I am using on this laptop. Okay, so this means that your Node.js is set up and is ready to use. Okay, so if I type here node, and I can use anything here, like I type here 1 + 2 and press enter, you can see I get 3 answer from here, which is JavaScript. So I hope that you understand what we have done in this video. If you feel any problem in understanding anything while setting up your environment, definitely you can ask me a question or message me. I am always here to help you. So that's it for this video. I will see you in the next video. Welcome back to this course. So today in this video we are going to run Node.js for very first time on the console. Okay, without browser we are going to run the JavaScript. So for that, simply I create a new file here, and I just type here index.js. Okay, so now this is a file of JavaScript, and I simply type here some vanilla JavaScript lines. For example, I type here let language equals to JavaScript. Okay, and after that I simply console.log here language. Okay, so I have simply typed 2 lines here. I simply created a variable with the name language and stored JavaScript in it, and I simply control.log that variable. Okay, so simply I go to terminal, new terminal, and now to run the Node.js application, first of all you have to follow a syntax like a node and then the name of the file. Okay, and then you have to press the enter. Okay, so let's do it. I simply type here node and the name of the file is index.js. Okay, so now make sure that you are in the same directory where your file is. For example, this index.js file is present inside this lecture files folder. Okay, so you can see that path lecture files, and then in the same folder I am running this node application. Okay, so when I press enter, you can see that I get JavaScript on my console. So this is our first application that we have run with the node command. Okay, you can type anything here. For example, if I simply remove this from here and I start a for loop here, I just type here for let I equals to 0 and I less than 10 and then I plus, and I simply console.log here I. Okay, I save it and just type here node index.js and press enter. You can see that I got 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 on the console. So now we are running our Node.js application on our terminal without using the Chrome. Okay, so this is the biggest benefit of Node.js, that we don't have to write JavaScript inside the browser. We are writing and running the JavaScript outside the browser. Okay, so I hope that you understand. So this is a very short and quick video in which I want to tell you that how we run our Node.js application. Okay, so in our next video we are going to using the first Node.js core module and going to build our first web server. Okay, very simple web server. So I will see you in the next video. Hello and welcome back to this course. In our previous video you have seen that how we run our Node.js application. Okay, so in this video we are going to use our first Node core module, which is called HTTP, and we are going to build our first very simple web server. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let's start doing it. First of all, I'm going to create a new file here with the name app.js. Okay, so first of all I have to use the core module, which is the HTTP. So for that I first of all require or import that module in my file. Okay, so I simply type here const HTTP and I want to simply require the HTTP module like this. Okay, so I have created a variable HTTP in which I am storing this HTTP module. I am just requiring this module in my application, okay, because we have to use this HTTP module to build our first web server. Okay, so after that I simply want to create a server, so I simply type here HTTP dot create server. Okay, and after that in this function I have to pass a callback. Okay, so I simply type here request and response, and I use the arrow function here like this. Okay, so first of all I have used this HTTP which I have just required in my application before that, and then I have used this create server method to create a server. Okay, then I simply pass a callback here to check it. Okay, and in this callback I have two parameters. Remember in our first lectures when we discuss about that how a complete website works, we request a web page from a server and server give us response. Okay, so this is that request and response. Okay, and now in this function we just have to send something to the browser. Okay, so I simply, because I have to send the response, so I use the response res dot end, and in here simply I type anything. I simply type here your first simple web server. Okay, so after that I have created the server here successfully, and now I have to run it in the Chrome browser. So what I do, I simply save first of all this in a variable. I type here const server. Okay, and after that I simply type here server, because we have to listen that request. So I simply type here server dot listen, and in here first of all I have to type the port number. You can type any port number in here, like 3000, 4000, 5000, 6000 or 8000, anything you want. So for now I simply type here 4000. Okay, you can type any number here. We have to listen on this port. Okay, and after that simply I give a callback here, and I type a statement here console.log, and I print a line here that is server started at port 4000. Okay, so that's it. This is our first very simple web server. Before explaining this anymore, let's run it and see what happens. Simply I save this file and type here node app.js and press enter, and you can see a message on the console that server started at port 4000. Okay, so now go to your Chrome browser and simply type here. Now by default this server runs on a local host. Local host means the machine on which this application is running. Right now this is running on the local machine, so that's why by default it runs on the local host. So you can either type 127.0.0.1 IP address, which is the IP address for localhost, or you can simply type here localhost 4000. Okay, just type this line here, that's localhost colon and then 4000 port number on which we are listening to this application. Okay, simply press enter, and you see a message here, your first simple web server. Congratulations, your first Node.js application is running on the web server. And before explaining it, I just want to show that you can also pass HTML here. For example, if I type here h1, wrap this line with h1 tag, and also I type here h1 and save it. And to exit from this process, you have to press Ctrl C and then again type here node app.js and press enter. Server started at port 4000. Okay, and now if you refresh it, you will see your first simple web server in h1 tag. Okay, so you can also pass HTML in this string. Okay, so now just concluding this video, I explain it once again. First of all, we are using the core module HTTP to make our first web server. Okay, and just require this HTTP module and store in this HTTP variable. And after that, I have just created the server. Simply I type here HTTP, which is this one, dot create server, and pass a callback here that has two parameters, request and response. Okay, and in this callback I simply use this end method to send a response, which is your first simple web server. Okay, and I have stored all this in a server variable, and after that we have to listen on to that server. Okay, so I simply type here server and I listen on this port number 4000. You can type any port here. Okay, after that I pass a callback here, arrow function, and I simply printed a line that server started at port 4000. Okay, and after that you run this application, you get your result in the Chrome browser as a simple web server. So I hope that you understand what we have done in this video. By the way, if you feel any problem in understanding anything in Node.js, you can definitely ask me a question or message me. I am always here to help you. So that's it for this video. I will see you in the next video. Welcome back to this course. Today in this video we are going to discuss about NPM. NPM stands for Node Package Manager. Okay, so in our next videos, in our future videos, we are going to use packages in our Node applications. Packages, you can say that a sort of tiny libraries that we are going to use in our applications to enhance the functionality of our applications. I will give you an example for this. For example, I hope that you know about the WordPress. Okay, so in WordPress, for each and everything we have to install something called plugins. For example, if we want to monitor the traffic of a website, we install plugin like Jetpack, and if we want to do some SEO for WordPress site, we use plugin called Yoast SEO or all-in-one SEO pack. Okay, so these are plugins that help us to perform small functionalities in our website. In the same way, packages are tiny libraries that help us to enhance the functionality of our application. Now we know that Express.js is a framework, web framework for Node.js, and we will install Express framework with the help of this npm library. Okay, so this is repository for these packages, npm. Okay, so in our next video we are going to use two packages. One is NodeMon and second is Casual, just to show you that how we use packages in our Node.js application. Okay, so in this video I am just going to introduce you to npm. And one more thing that I want to tell you is something called npm init. Let's see how we can use the npm init. If I go to my Visual Studio Code, and now npm init generates a file that called package.json file. Okay, so package.json is some type of configuration file that holds some data of the application. Okay, so without wasting our time, let's simply type here npm init. Okay, when I press enter, you can see that it first of all asks me the package name. I simply type here first app, then it asks for the version 1.0.0 is the default version, so I want to keep it. I simply press enter. Description, I just type here my first application, press enter. Then it asks for the entry point. Okay, so for this is definitely app.js, so I simply type here enter. You can type anything here, for example index.js or app.js. The entry point of this application means from which point this application start. So app.js is the entry point of this file, so I simply type here app.js and press enter. Enter, enter. Keywords, you can type anything here like first app, enter. Author, you can type your name here, enter, enter, and now it will ask you that is this okay, and press enter, and you can see that package.json file is created successfully here. If I click on here, you can see that name is this, version this, description this, main app.js, and then keywords we have typed, then the author name, then the license. Okay, so this is the package.json file. This is very important file. This file is going to tell which packages we want to use or not when we will deploy our application on the internet. Okay, so very first step, before creating any application, first of all create this package.json file by just typing here npm init. Now npm command is automatically added when you install the node. You don't have to install npm separately, okay? npm is already added in your Visual Studio when you add Node.js, okay? So this is what we call the npm, Node Package Manager. This is just the introduction lecture. In the next lecture, we are actually going to use two packages in our application, okay? So I will see you in the next video. Welcome back to this course. So in our previous video, we have seen what is npm, and we have also set up our package.json file by using the npm init command, okay? So in this lecture, we are going to install two packages, npm packages in our application. So the first package that we are going to install is called nodemon. Now nodemon is the package that will be used throughout this course, or we use this nodemon package throughout the development process. Now what does this nodemon package do? We know that whenever we change something in this file app.js, we always have to type node app.js and press enter. Then the server is started, then we go back and see our results. And then if we change something here, then we again have to type here node app.js, and then we get our new result. Now when we install nodemon, when I simply press here Ctrl S, then this command automatically runs, that is node app.js, and the server starts again, okay? So let me show you by installing it. First of all, if I go to this npmjs.com and type here nodemon and press enter, you can see the first package. I click on it, and here you can see its weekly download that is about 1.9 million downloads. That are huge downloads. So you can see from here that how popular this package is, okay? So you can read from here, nodemon is a tool that helps develop Node.js based application by automatically restarting Node.js application when file changes in the directory are detected, okay? So whenever we change something in our app.js file or main file, then nodemon package will automatically restart the Node.js application, okay? So to install this package on our application, we have to type a command that is node I stand for install, and then name of that package. So npm I nodemon, okay? So but we don't want to install it like this. We want to install it globally. npm init -g nodemon. So -g means globally. You can see that nodemon will be installed globally to your system path, okay? So we have to install this global so that we can use it anywhere whenever we create Node.js application, okay? So simply I go back to my Visual Studio, I type here npm I stand for install, then I simply type here nodemon, the name of the package, and I type here -g to install it globally. When I press enter, you can see that the package is now installing. Okay, so you can see that here our package is successfully installed in our application, okay? So to run that, I simply type here nodemon and press enter, and now you can see that started node app.js. So for example, if I change here like your very first simple web app server, now if I simply press Ctrl S, you can see that server started again. So this is where we use nodemon. It is really helpful. We don't have to type node app.js again and again. So this is the use of the nodemon package, okay? So now let's use our second package, which is casual, okay? So casual is a npm package that generates random data, okay? So if I go back and simply I type here casual and press enter, you can see this first package. I click on it, and you can see that it is a fake data generator, okay? So I simply install this in my application. So I press Ctrl C to get out from this nodemon and type here npm I and casual, and now I type here -save. Now what this -save do is it saves the name of this package, that is casual, to the package.json file, okay? And whenever we deploy this application, with help of that package.json file, we can tell that which package we need, Okay, so simply whenever you install your package, type -save to save the name of this package to the package.json file, which is the configuration file of your application. Okay, so npm iCasual-save and press enter. The installing has been started. So successfully installed, and you can see that a new folder generated here with the name node modules, and we have a casual package in it. Okay, so you got a question in your mind that why nodemon is not here, because we installed nodemon globally. Okay, and when you click on this package.json file, you can see that dependencies, and I got the name of casual here, and it's version 1.6.2. okay, so in this way, whenever we install our packages and we type -save, all the package names will be added automatically here. We don't have to type here. So whenever we deploy our application on internet, we don't deploy this node.js module folder because it is too much heavy. Okay, so this package.json file will tell that we have to use these packages. Okay, so whenever you install a package, simply type -save it. Now going back to our nodemon module, you may got a question that why we don't have nodemon here. Okay, and why we don't have a nodemon folder here, package here. So as I tell you before, that we have installed nodemon globally. Okay, so it is stored in the root folder of this npm. If you type here npm root-g and press enter, you can see the path here: C users, Ghulam Abbas, app data, roaming, npm, and node modules. If I copy it from here and simply just paste it here and press enter, you can see that we have nodemon here. All the files of nodemon are present here. That's why nodemon is not present in here. We have installed it globally, so it can be used from any application in this computer. Okay, so I hope that you understand. Now let's use this casual package in our application. Close this file, and now first of all we have to require this package. So I simply type here const and then type here casual equals to require, and I type here the name of the package, which is the casual. Okay, after requiring this package, I simply type here a line that will get random data from this package. If I go back to my node package manager the website, you can see that the usage tab here, and now in here you can see that first of all we have to import or require this casual package, and then we have to just use this casual, like casual.city will give us a random city, casual.sentence will generate a random sentence, like that. Okay, so if I go back to my Visual Studio and just type here casual.country, okay, save it and just type here node app.js, or simply I type here nodemon and press enter. Okay, so it started automatically. I go back to my Chrome and just type here localhost 4000 and press enter. You can see that, and you can see a country here, which is Greece. Okay, if I go back or I simply refresh this once again, refresh, you can see a new city, Peru, and in this way you get random countries here. Now if I change it to city, press Ctrl S, go back and refresh it, you can see a new city here. Refresh it, a new city, refresh it, a new city. In this way, if I go back and type here sentence, okay, I press Ctrl S, go back and reload it, I get a random sentence here like this. Okay, so I hope that you understand that what is npm, what is a package, how we install it, and how we use it. Okay, anyhow, if you feel any problem in understanding anything about npm or node.js, you can definitely ask me a question and message me. I am always here to help you. So that's it for this video. I will see you in the next video.